I'm Keshia, Hospitality Manager of the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, Antwerp.
I am Chantal, Head of the ICT team in the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, Antwerp.
I'm Claudio, ICT employee in the same museum.
I'm Kobe from Le Concilio Game Design. We build and create escape and other gaming and recreative experiences.
When I was younger, I always thought museums and art were these higher, more ethereal subjects for more sophisticated people. But I realize now that's not completely true. But I do believe that there are a lot of people that still think that way. And because they believe that's true, they avoid activities in the museum or anything to do with art and culture in general. And if I can help break down that mental threshold a bit, then my job is done.
When I came here, I realized I had a big FOMO, maybe a big FOMO in the past, because I did not visit those musea for 9 years. Pretty sure that I'm never getting back those 9 years, except for visiting them in the future. But what I could do is maybe create something in my expertise, in my focus, and that's of course escape games, which will definitely wipe out the possible FOMO for all the other young adults and kids nowadays. And I'm pretty sure that in that way I'm contributing to not missing out all those cool collections and musea nowadays for young adults.
I think a common barrier is the feeling of this isn't for me. The art, the barrier is like too large. Some young people just find it quite boring to be in a museum. So that's why it's very important to involve them actively. We want them to recognize themselves in the arts and see them and grow within the culture. Co-creation is not nice to have, it's a must-have to be relevant and inclusive.
Museum mystery is actually, let's say, a quest that you have to solve with you and your team. And you're going to be immersed in an entire environment of the museum itself. And you're actually also going to need the museum in one way or another to solve that quest or to solve that mystery. Searching and finding different artworks and definitely diving into them to find that one solution. Young adults have it difficult to find their way to musea. So in that way it was for us a challenge to maybe think out or create a game for musea to find a solution for these young adults to come and visit the museum. It's difficult for them because they're mostly not interested. They have other things like TikTok and other cool trends nowadays. Also the phone is a very important thing. So that's why we also took the phone into the game. It's a museum mystery that you solve with your phone, and you use your phone as your navigator actually throughout the museum and to find solutions and hints and everything else to make your escape. And let's say that the idea mostly came from the problem that young adults don't find their way anymore to cool, fancy musea like the Kamaska here today, and that we try to solve that by creating a very cool and decent game for them. Yes, so the game works in a pretty easy way. So you download an application. That application will be your platform for playing the game. And then it's the goal to, when you have bought your escape game at the counter here in the museum, you can scan a QR code in a PDF, and that QR code that you scan with your application gives you the entrance or the permission to start and play the game on your phone. The main idea is definitely to use the museum as your big escape room and not just watch your phone and not dive into the all magnificent items and pieces that are listed out here, but definitely use these beautiful pieces as your maybe help or a guideline to solve that escape mystery, that museum mystery.
So we've tested these projects with our own staff internally, but also with young adults from our youth program, the Trappen, the stairs, aged between 16 and 26 years old, to create, to engage them with art, to find a platform to express themselves. The escape game received a lot of positive feedback. It also brings playful and youthful energy into our galleries. And even the more passive visitors become more engaged and playful during the game. It makes people look different at the art, and it brings another dynamic into the museum. The results show they are very enthusiastic to play the game. They think it's kind of cool a museum hosts a game, an escape game. For young people it changes the group dynamic and they become more competitive. They no longer see a painting as something static. They now try to explore it and get more engagement with the art. I've learned that gamification is a terrific tool to lower thresholds and the barriers. But it's also important to not only be fun or stay fun, but also be very meaningful and to get an in-depth information about the art.
I think for us, next to the biggest challenge, we also have a big learning process. A big learning process in understanding how a museum works. A museum is not your average environment in which you can just walk around, choose some cool pieces of art and make the game. I think it was definitely for us, creating the first museum mystery here in the KMSK was definitely for us definitely also maybe a quest on itself by searching the ideal parameters for both us as game creators, but also the museum itself. I think Katja also did a great job in the communication between those two parties, because you just can't use any artwork. Some artworks are protected, some maybe also go after some periods of time. The game won't work anymore if you use those pieces of art. So we definitely had to think out a robust concept, a robust museum mystery that could work not for 1 week or 1 month, but definitely for a few years, and also was open for adaptations. Like in the future there will become a different level of difficulty, so maybe it's even better for definitely children and younger adults that maybe also bring their parents to play the game. So also other, let's say, languages are coming into the game, so in that way we definitely created a core concept of museum mysteries in which we can make adaptations and also make them flexible. I think if we think about the future and if we look to the future, the most important learning thing for us and that we can take with us is not only knowing how a game should be built for the KMSK, but also knowing how all the different parameters should be set. Like for us it was variable to know how long should the game last. Do we need different difficulty levels in the beginning? Do we need different languages? For now we do have created a certain structure in which we can implement new games also for new musea. That is very much more easy than, again, starting from zero and thinking out, okay, how long should it take? How many hints do we need? Those things are pretty much said and done. Those parameters are cool. I think that it's cool to say that for the future we can now immediately look to the content that a museum wants to integrate, and that definitely gives us a fast forward of, in my opinion, 1.5 years of the 2 years development that we did. So new games can definitely be developed in less than half a year.
So Studio Rubens is a temporary setup around the restoration of a major Rubens painting, the Enthroned Madonna Adored by Saints. It's taking place directly in our Rubens gallery. It's both an observation and learning space where visitors can closely follow the restoration process, but also engage with it digitally. It's very interesting to have this in the galleries because it shows the museum comes to life. It's in constant motion. The restoration makes a normally invisible process very visible and also very inclusive to witness. This creates a unique opportunity to start a conversation with your visitors and to offer a deeper experience through digital tools.
It started with a question from our conservators because they get interrupted very often while they are working and they need to keep the focus on their work. Visitors were asking about the painting, about how the work is done for the restoration, but also where are the restrooms. So that gave us an opportunity to think about it, and that's when we decided in the ICT team to try an experiment with artificial intelligence. How could we use AI to respond to those questions the visitors have? We made a machine, a machine that answers to a lot of questions. It uses the data that we already have about the painting, a lot of data also that we got through the conservators. We gave them a lot of questions and they answered it. We put it in a database and we're using a small language model to answer to those questions.
For the user it works quite straightforward. You press the button, ask your question, the machine searches for an answer within the text that we provide, and then they receive the answer back through an audio file. You can ask questions about the painting or about who made the painting. You can ask questions about the museum, some wayfinding questions like where are the restrooms or where are the elevators, or even other parts of an exhibit. And they can ask questions about the restoration process, how long it will take, which phases there are, and so on.
We record the questions that people ask so we can learn more and add extra answers actually to the database that we use to provide the answers to our soon-to-be visitors. So we're still in a very much experimental phase where we learn and learn more.
Technically, the application consists of 4 parts. The first part is the speech-to-text, which is when the visitor talks and then their question gets converted to a text. This text is then used by the application, the large language model, to find the correct answer. And then this answer is again converted to an audio file, a text-to-speech system, which then transmits the audio back to the visitor. And then the 4th part is just a complete Python application, which is basically a tunnel between the visitor and the backend server. I think it's important to experiment even if you have no idea what the outcome could be. Maybe the experiment fails, but at least the result is a learnable experience. But I believe even failures, if you're transparent with your failures, it creates a form of empathy, a bond. So even if you're experimenting and if you don't have anything to show for at the end, an actual product, at least you still have learned a lot and you have made people aware that you're working and trying in a certain field.
Because innovation doesn't happen in theory, it happens in practice. By putting a very small project very fast in the museum galleries, we even learn faster than usual. I would advise other museums to start small, use what you have, use open data, use open source, and use the creativity of your ICT team.
AI and large language models are a very booming topic, and there are plenty of resources out there, lots of people, just hobbyists, bringing out tons of information that we used to create our own application. We started from scratch. Well, there's plenty of pushback against AI, especially in creative industries, in art industries. But I believe AI applications such as this one can help your colleagues do their job more efficiently and let them focus on the museum, the artworks, and the visitors.
I think people like to push a button, so it will already generate a lot of visitors and to try it, and they will be very curious to do it. I would say try to experiment a lot, just take the risk. And also we very much believe that collaborating with your audience is very important and will make your museum stronger.
I believe inclusion also means including the people behind the scenes. So that means all my colleagues. And if I can help them to relieve some pressure on their shoulders, then I believe they have a wider reach for their audience, and that means we are indirectly helping the visitors as well.
I strongly believe that a museum is a place where people can connect, not only with art but also with each other. They learn about each other, they learn about history, and they also can learn how to connect with other people through same interests.
I think the Museum of the Future would be a place where everybody feels welcome, where you can learn, play, rest, connect, a space that invites dialogue and that continuously challenges you to reinvent yourself together with your audience. A museum should not just be a keeper of the past, but also a platform for the future.